Alright, let's take a look at SOVA. His first ability, Owl Drone, 300 credits to purchase, C to use. Equip an Owl Drone. Fire to deploy and take control of movement of the drone. While in control of the drone, fire to shoot a marking dart. This marking dart will reveal the location of any player struck by the dart. So I'll go ahead and hit C here and bring up the Owl Drone. And in order to launch it off, I'll click mouse 1. And now I have a drone that I can control. And you can see that I'm navigating it. I can look left and right, and I'm using my WASD keys in order to control the movement if I'm going left, forward, or back, as well as using my mouse to control this little crosshair in the middle. So you see this little circle that's jiggling around, that's my mouse. So I can actually aim this circle, and if I left click, it'll shoot off a marking dart. And now this marking dart, if I hit an opponent, it will stick to them and actually give me like X-ray map pack vision, and I can see the outline of this character or of the enemy until they remove this marking dart. A cool way that you can use Owl Drone is that you can send it in not only to scout out the area and kind of see what's ahead, but you can also use it as a bait. So I'll go ahead and launch one off, and say if I had a teammate behind me, they could be closely behind the path of my drone and baiting it. And if an opponent does not take out my drone, I see where they are, and if they do take it out, then my teammate has their position and knows where to aim their crosshair and take them out. Moving on to SOVA's second ability, Shock Bolt, 100 credits to purchase, Q to cast. Equip a bow with the Shock Bolt. Fire to send the explosive bolt forward, detonating upon collision and damaging players nearby. Hold fire to extend the range of the projectile. Alternate fire to add up to 2 bounces to the arrow. So when I pull up Shock Bolt, you'll see that I have this bow and arrow, and I have at the end of my arrow this little bolt that shoots off a electric sphere. So let's go ahead and hold mouse 1, and you'll see that it is max charged at the bottom there in red and fully filling those 3 blocks. So when I let go of Q, it shoots this arrow, and upon hitting a surface, it will do a circle electrical field of damage. Now the cool thing about this is that you can actually stick opponents, and when you do, it does max 90 damage. And the Shock Bolt, if you stand further away from it, it will do less damage compared to if you are more in the center. And right now it's not doing that much damage because it's self-damage, and also it'll do reduced damage to your teammates. But do be careful, you don't want to be firing these into a clump of your teammates. Now opening Shock Bolt again, you'll notice below the charge bars, the 2 diamonds down there, and it says bounces. So when I right click, those bounce diamonds fill up and it tells me I have 1 or 2 bounces. So let's go ahead and use 1 bounce to clear this little cubby to our right. So I'll go ahead and charge, and when I let go, the arrow bounces and targets this area. So super helpful for hitting areas behind you or to your side. Maybe if there's an enemy on this side here and we want to do some damage, we can go ahead and shoot it right there. And then moving on to 2 bounces, you can imagine what it does. It just bounces twice off before the arrow is going to be active. So let's say if we want to target this little corner right here, I'm going to try a double bounce off this wall and then off this wall, and then the arrow bounces and hits after the second bounce. Another cool thing about Shock Bolt is that you can do some cool lineups where, say if I do a kind of mini charge right there, and as it's affected by gravity, it will fall down, and you can find some cool lineups like that. Alright, moving on to SOVA's third ability, Recon Bolt, E to use. Equip a bow with Recon Bolt. Fire to send the Recon Bolt forward, activating upon collision and revealing the location of nearby enemies caught in the line of sight of the bolt. Enemies can destroy this bolt. Hold fire to extend the range of the projectile. Alternate fire to add up to 2 bounces to this arrow. Alright, now very similar to Shock Bolt, Recon Bolt is the exact same thing. So you get the same charges, you get the same bounces. However, at the end of this arrow is a Recon Bolt. So as you can see, when I shoot it off, there's these 3 sonar pulses that are sent from the center of this Recon Bolt. And what it's doing is these pulses are detecting for enemies. So any enemies that are caught in the line of sight of that pulse will be shown in my screen with their outline visible, and it's like a wall hack. I see their outline. I'm going to shoot a Recon Bolt here, and let's see what the max range that it can detect enemies. So shooting the Recon Bolt there, and you can see a clear line. And so here we go. So that's the max range. So if I were an enemy and I was sitting right here, I would not be detected by that bolt. And I do want to emphasize again that this Recon Bolt is line of sight. So say if I shoot a Recon Bolt here and then an enemy is sitting right here, it will not detect them because the line of sight is blocked. And this line of sight mechanic also applies to abilities. So let's say an enemy shot a Recon Bolt here, and if I was a character like Jet, I could throw a smoke cloud right here, hide in the smoke or behind it, and that Recon Bolt will not detect me because it does not have line of sight. As you can imagine, SOVA's Recon Bolt is super buff if you have some really good lineups. So a great example of how you can use this on offensive side is, let's say we're infiltrating C here and we want to clear out a good portion of potential spots enemies can be in. Well, we can go ahead and charge the Recon Bolt, and if we launch one right there, we can see that it's pulsing out, and then it actually gets to this corner. Go ahead and throw another one up here, and it'll clear any enemies that are sitting here, on top of this platform, anywhere in the back sight, and on top of this popular corner right here. So if we are attacking and I shoot that Recon Bolt and all those pulses go off and I don't see an enemy, well, that means all these spots are going to be clear unless they use an ability to block that line of sight, like a smoke or a wall. The good thing is if an enemy shoots a Recon Bolt near you, or you see it land and you can't dodge it, or you can't block the LOS, you can shoot it down, however at the expense of giving that audio cue of your weapon shooting. On defensive side, as you can imagine, also super great for getting information. Say we're defending the C site here, and we don't know if the enemies are on the other side, or we're afraid to peek because they have an operator. Well, we can go ahead here and select the bounce, throw it off that wall, land it here in this hallway, and it's going to scan this entire hallway and give us information if there's enemies there or not. And of course, you need to be careful where if I did shoot that Recon Bolt here, that they could always, of course, dodge it and use that information to trick me. And rounding off SOVA's abilities with his ultimate is Hunter's Fury, Z to activate. Equip a bow with 3 long-range, wall-piercing energy blasts. Fire to release an energy blast in a line in front of SOVA, dealing damage and revealing the location of enemies caught in the line. This ability can be reused up to 2 more times while the ability timer is active. So when I click Z, what's going to happen is I pull up this super strong laser arrow that goes through walls, and I get 3 of them. So right there, I didn't get time to shoot all 3, but what I want you to pay attention to when I hit Z here is my radar. In the top left-hand side, when I click Z, you see this huge blue lane, or these blue block, and that indicates the effective range and damage line of this ultimate. So super strong. I get 3 of these. When I click mouse 1, it launches this laser beam and it goes through every single wall in this path. So great way to use this on offensive side is, say we want to go ahead and cover our teammates and clear this left-hand side here. Well, this one actually would be in the pathway of my teammates. So we'll go ahead and shoot this right here, and I can go ahead and clear out this right cubby side that's very popular in the C site. So great for also defending the spike. The spike right now is in spawn right now, but pretend we just planted the spike right here and we hear them defusing. Well, we can go ahead and hit Z, line up our shot through the wall, and then take them out if they're defusing or force them to run away. Another thing to note about SOVA's ultimate is that if you hit an opponent, it will actually give you 1 tick of X-ray. So we can actually see the outline border of the enemy, but keep in mind this tick, this vision that we see, is about a second delayed. So if we see them move to the left, we're going to have to make an adjustment, but then it can also juke us and go the other way in that 1 second tick delay.